Welcome to Full-Time Devils. It's the huge Manchester United versus Liverpool debate. We've taken a trip over to Ball Street North with Stephen Howson and with the Redmen TV, Paul and Chris as well. We're going to talk everything United-Liverpool. It's a big game at the weekend. Just start actually by talking about the managers, to be honest. Two relatively new managers in the Premier League. Well, as in new clubs.
To their clubs, yeah.
Yeah. Jurgen Klopp, lads. What do you think? He's had a little bit of time now to bed in. New season, full season, his first full season, or starting his full season. What do you think?
I love him. I think he's bought into the fan base, and the fan base have bought into him, and everything that he's done is moving Liverpool in the right direction. And I think, you know, we were unlucky last season. We got to two finals, and one we were beaten on penalties, and one bit of a heartbreak in the Europa League final and stuff. But he has united a fan base that was fractious for a few years, and he's given belief to all the Liverpool fans now that we can go on and win a Premier League title.
He's that kind of guy, and I think most fans of most football clubs in the Premier League, because we've gone through that spell of a couple of years now. There's been a lot of managerial transition, and you're starting to look around at what's out there. And I think most fans of Premier League clubs looked at Jurgen Klopp and what he was doing at Dortmund and the way he carried himself and how hilarious he was. And like, the guy swears in press conferences. That shouldn't impress me, but I'm a child, so it does. And I think we all looked and went, wow, him. But you know, we've faced a situation at Liverpool at years where he's like a major shine. He's like a world-class player, and you think, I'm not sure. I think one of the other lads who are consistent Champions League participants or whatever would come in for him. I'm not sure Liverpool would be in the market for him, but able to go out and get him was like literally like going out and buying a.
I mean, I'm not sure. I'm not sure whether he would have necessarily fit with United, but I've said it to you guys before. I would have liked to have seen him at Old Trafford. Actually, I think he's a progressive. Yeah, exactly. He's a progressive manager.
I even tell you what seat he's going to be in.
Which seat's that?
It's like the end on
case
the
down.
He doesn't spend much time in his seat, to be honest with you.
That's a good point.
He doesn't. Neither do. And I think actually both are charismatic in their own way, Klopp and Mourinho. And I think both of them take the club to heart in their respective way. Do you think Klopp would have suited United if it?
I think he would have done actually. Yeah, I think there was obviously a lot of talk that Guardiola would, because he plays and nurtures youth, which you know isn't exactly the truest story in the world, but I do think there was, and I think Conte might have, I think Ancelotti might have. There was a lot of good managers that I thought would suit us, that I would maybe even preferred ahead of Mourinho in some instances. But I do think there's certain elements of what we've got in Jose really meshes together.
Is he the right man now? Is he the right man now that he's joined?
Like these lads have just said, who else out there is there? You're looking. There's almost like an arms race, wasn't there? That it looked like there was a couple of appointments just to block off everybody else getting him, and I think that's sort of been the case. And we've said it a lot, haven't we, this season? There's far too many good managers and far too little success. And we was talking just a second ago after we finished recording with these guys. Who do you think is going to get sacked? Because someone's getting sacked.
But I think even some of the smaller clubs are suffering. If you look, I mean, Ronald Koeman was seen as quite a decent manager at Southampton. Joined Everton, and you look at him now, and he's massively struggling. And this is not the season. I'm not sure
that's entirely. I mean,
I think what
this isn't Toffee TV. We'll leave this, but I mean, it's not entirely. I don't think that's entirely down to his manager.
But I think the point is that this is not the season that you wanted to bring in someone that's not got experience of being at the very, very top. I think it's the wrong time to bring in. I think
this is the wrong time for anybody. Like, if you look at what's going on at Swansea, if you're in that bottom half and what's gone on with Hull and Mike Phelan as well, there needs to be a sense of realism because there's not enough success at the top. So if you're middle to bottom of the league, you need to suck it and see, because this league is going to be tough this season for you. And a lot of them, I think, should just roll it out with the guy that they've got rather than thinking that they can change it and fix it. Because if you bring in this guy that they've just brought in at Hull, is he going to do any better with Mike Phelan with that team in this league in this year? I wouldn't have thought so.
The thing with United isn't the Mourinho stuff, is you've obviously went to David Moyes, who hadn't had success in the Premier League. He had relative success, of course.
It made sense to appoint him in that mould, though, didn't it?
But then you've got Louis van Gaal, who was successful earlier in his career. What you've done now is you've arrested that slide, so to speak, and you've gone, we're going to get a winner, who's been a winner recently, and we're going to get him in, and we're going to try and win some trophies again, because that's the most important thing. And he can create an us versus them mentality, and Manchester United might thrive on that under Mourinho.
I'm not sure he's he is now the perfect fit for Manchester United.
See, I completely disagree with you.
Yeah, of course, and you're entitled to that opinion. It is your channel. I mean, everyone has incorrect opinions, so it's fine. In the world, it's
and you're right to have that incorrect opinion. Paul, as well.
But the thing about Mourinho is exactly what Chris is saying. I think we talked about this on our build-up, is that you guys are only a season or two from entering into the wilderness of it being very difficult to win a title, and what you guys had was a perpetual title-winning machine where your young players learn off the old players who've won titles. They win their own titles. They become the old players who teach the new players. You've had to manufacture that this season to try and, like, it's like jump starting your car. You know, it's not quite right, and it could have literally fallen to rack and ruin. But they've gone and got Jose Mourinho, who has a proven track record of delivering titles. You've gone and bought those guys who've won titles elsewhere.
That's one of the things
world-class players.
I mean, there's a few people. There's people in the comments here saying who their best manager is, or who between the two of them is the greater of the two. Like someone said, Klopp. Klopp's a very good manager. I'm a United supporter, but anyone that says he isn't a good manager knows nothing. I completely agree with that. To be honest, I think he's a top manager. It's a hard thing to do, and I suppose it's easy in terms of we're quite partisan here. But who do you think is the better manager right now?
I think. Forgive me. I think the better manager for Liverpool Football Club is Jurgen Klopp.
Yeah, you can't.
I actually wouldn't disagree with that, to be honest. I would agree with that.
But you can't argue with what Mourinho's achieved and what he's won. Exactly. You know, it's impossible to. You can't say he's not a good manager because it's just mental, isn't it? Like, you mean, because now, if he does nothing this season and he wins nothing next season, then all the little doubts that have been creeping in about whether he's not quite good.
It won't take that long.
Well, exactly, and I think that's definitely a thing that Mourinho's got going for him. That he's at a crossroads of his career now, and I think he's just as likely to take Man United back up to the top and win a league title and do whatever as it is for it to implode on itself, a bit like it did at Chelsea and it's done at other clubs. So I think, like Chris says, I think Mourinho is. Look, let's just stack up their careers next to one another. You'd have to say Mourinho, but like exactly what Chris is there, I would have Jurgen Klopp over Mourinho.
But that's what I mean. So, you know, there's a few people like Samip says, you know, Mourinho with his Premier League experience gets it. I can completely see how Klopp fits Liverpool. And I get that, and I think, like I said,
I think he's the right fit for them. But
I do as well.
If you're just going pure,
exactly,
who is the better manager out of the two?
Who is a certainty,
you have to go with
or as close to a certainty as you can get to win your titles. And I think
what I will say is, though, the Chelsea thing bothers me. The way it ended at Chelsea lingers for me.
Do you think that was because he always kind of had that United thing in his mind when he left Real Madrid, and Chelsea wasn't really where he wanted to go.
What
back
about
to?
Professional pride of the way you take the champions to where you've took them like that? That definitely still lingers for me a little bit, and I do worry that there's a lot of, and we've seen it. We play a consistent starting 11 all the time, and you hear these stories of players being burnt out under Mourinho, and I can see that with my own eyes here. And ultimately, is that something that it leads with?
Someone's just said Baconland. Don't know what that name is. Klopp is young and is doing an apprenticeship at Liverpool to take over from Jose.
Not a chance. Who was that?
Oh God!
Baconland. Don't know who that is.
For whatever you're on, lads. God almighty.
That's an hand grenade of a comment.
So David Jones, Liverpool's dip has been going for years and years. United are back after 3 years. Pipe down, Scousers.
Yeah, well, we'll see when we. I think that's. You can't fault the confidence, and I think this is the thing that a lot of United fans have got is because there's a generation of United fans who don't remember what Man United were prior to them being
let's kind of touch on that a little bit, because one of the things I want to talk about are memories. And obviously, there's a huge span of time, and you know, I think in the Premier League era, we'd all probably agree that United have had the favourable years. I mean, what is it? How many Premier League?
Wait,
hang
on. Against any team,
of course,
together.
I'm trying to be a little bit. For once, I'm trying to be a little bit kind to the guys in the corner.
We know where we've stood in the Premier League era.
So I mean, Liverpool have had a tough time in the Premier League. Looking at it now. You know, I think...
To be fair, Crystal Palace have had a tough time in the Premier League. We've actually had a pretty good time, all told.
Well, I'll tell you what, let's just split hairs, shall we, guys?
5-6 teams, I think it might be 5 actually, since Villa got relegated, that have been here since the first Premier League season.
Do you know what? I'm actually trying to cut through this. I'm trying to say, what are
You're not doing a very good job.
What are your favourite Liverpool United memories? So there might not be as many in the Premier, or there definitely won't be as many in the Premier League as maybe we've got, but your big Liverpool United memories, your favourites.
Stick in the comments
Premier League
what
era.
yours is. And
absolutely.
In the Premier League era,
Yeah, well, of all time, but in the Premier League era.
For me, last season in the Europa League was brilliant for us because it was the first meeting between the two clubs. How it was the first meeting, I'll never know how we've avoided each other that long. But both teams wanted that.
Pony teams in Europe.
Both teams
Pony
wanted
competitions
that.
in Europe.
And Klopp coming in, you were on a downward spiral. It felt at the time, and it might not be the case now, it felt like we were crossing you on the stairs.
I mean, I think the big thing about this game...
It wasn't the final.
I think the big...
No.
Well, that's true.
If that was the final, we'd have walked it.
They'll never let us play.
The big thing about this game for me is...
The high, the low, and the low,
we were all talking about it before, actually, that Liverpool United at the moment, are, in terms of the Premier League right now, are on quite an even keel. They're both playing very good football. They're both finding their feet under a new manager. Change of styles, new players coming in. Do you think this is a huge crossroads, this game in particular now, for the future? We're looking at the past, just a moment ago, but for the future, is this a big crossroads?
Yeah, I mean, you just got to look at Man United have gone on this great winning run in the last couple of months, and I think that's changed mentality. And I was saying this when we were discussing it earlier, is that a couple of defeats in that run, and you are very much sixth in the Premier League, very much sixth in the Premier League. And I think that's the difference between this, is that this is. Because of Liverpool's not getting the result against Sunderland, it adds a little bit more import to us in terms of the points. But I think Man United need it. I think more than maybe we need.
Well, I mean, the difference between that 8 and 2 points right now, this crucial point in the season. I mean, if we beat you guys, that's 2 points off. And all of a sudden the whole complexion of the league changes. That top 6 are all well in with a shout.
Exactly.
But if we lose this game, that's 8 points. And I think with the nature of the...
Can I just say, we've got something... Get your comments in about your favourite United-Liverpool memories, but it's something we have to mention as well. If we get 5,000 likes, Paul's going to put a United shirt on.
Yeah, they've actually got a better collection here at Ball Street North of United shirts than they have of Liverpool shirts. So
and if we get 10,000 likes,
there's a fair amount to pick
from. Sometimes it just lies.
like me wearing a United shirt if we do 5,000 likes.
So 5,000 likes, and I'll force it on him.
I mean,
aye.
Some of the memories in here.
And I'll make you wear a shirt as well.
Some of the obvious memories in here. Gerrard, a couple of years ago.
The penalty game.
Yeah, exactly.
I missed all 3 goals. Jaden was taking a penalty. Coincidentally. No, he was taking a penalty at half time, so we'd had to go down, scored the first. He scored the second while he was on the way back up, and then they give him a signed ball. And he dropped it, so I'm on the floor trying to pick it up, and the third went in. And we were singing David Moyes' Red and White Army that loud that there wasn't even a heartbeat skip in the. As the third went in, no one cared.
Amazing.
Juan Mata overhead kick at Anfield.
Did you see Vidic get sent off?
That was the Torres game. That was the 4-1 game, wasn't it?
He sent off twice against us.
Oh yeah, actually, he loves a red card against us.
Yeah, it was like the 70s.
No, I missed that one as well. I saw the one at 4-1. Remember that one? That was an hanging game.
Some good memories
what does Liverpool against United mean to you?
It's the biggest game in English football, without a shadow of a doubt. City think they are, but they don't have enough fan base to make it an interesting game. They don't have enough history and heritage to make this an interesting game. They think they're on this level with us. They're not.
When Man City and Everton play, does anyone care?
Well, yeah, well, this is the thing. They're billing this weekend as Manchester, yeah, exactly, versus Liverpool.
But the first game's Everton
Manchester versus Liverpool,
City.
And you're like, come on, let's be honest. It's not really, is it? This is the game.
There's more interest now. Guardiola's turned.
What makes this game different? The Liverpool United game.
We've got to remain relatively cordial because we are winning the same room together, which is obviously nice to see you doing this type of content. I don't know where you get this ideas from, but I think the thing is that people from Liverpool don't like people from Manchester, and people from Manchester don't like people from Liverpool. It's like
unless there's a Londoner around.
Exactly. We can,
only if there's ever the collective north.
It's like
that's the only way.
Rules every now and again. But by and large, I said this. I've been in situations before. If a lad and you've got football in common with other fellas, like when you go to university or whatever, you just chat to people about footy.
This is it.
But if you get stuck with someone from Manchester who supports Man United,
I was always brought up that it was you don't go to Liverpool unless you're watching the football or you have to for there's a reason, work or whatever it is. That's the only reason that you end up.
The M62 is just builders going in the opposite directions for no reason at all. Like, there's loads of Scousers in Manchester, and when I was working in construction, every job we had was in bleeding Liverpool.
Is this the first or the you know, maybe for you guys at Anfield, for us at Old Trafford, maybe if it's the away game, but is this the one fixture that you pick out first and find out where it is in a season? Because it is for me.
It has to be. And look, Paul's right. It's obviously built on an intercity rivalry, which goes back to the 1800s on the canals, and the fact that you tried to put loads of dockers out of business, and the fact that you had boats on your badges, both you and City, to represent that shipping canal.
And you thought Trump was bad. We've gone all political.
Of course, it's going to be based on that. But what it really comes down to is success. That's what it comes down to. That's why I don't like Manchester United, because they're more successful in terms of league titles than Liverpool, and that's what it will always come down to.
Yeah.
The people thing's fine. I can get over the people thing. I want us to be the best club. Categorically.
No, I think it's always needle. I think Paul was bang on. I think we're all getting on relatively well, but actually I think it's still just a little bit of needle. It's still
good.
Scouts
Football's far too fucking friendly.
Exactly, and that's what I mean.
It's meant to be shouting at each other and swearing at each other.
There's still a little bit of right. I'm gonna have a dig somewhere here.
No, yeah, absolutely.
You know, even if there's nothing to have a dig about, I'm going to have a dig somehow. You know,
I'm literally going to push you under the car when you try to leave later. But it's
the wallets are already secured away.
Of course not. But no, you're right. It's just that thing, isn't it? And I think people don't get that, and we've both got massive international followings, and I think that's a point of pride for both of the football clubs, if I'm perfectly honest. But you can't. It gets lost because you can't replicate that born into you hatred that comes from actually being from Liverpool and being from Manchester.
Yeah, no one's ever sat me down and said, here's why. It's just sort of expected that
you're not supposed to like people.
Well, I've got an uncle, he's from Manchester, he's a Man United, married in. Clearly.
That was a cordial wedding.
He was, with like things like we wouldn't set him a place at the dinner table on Christmas Day. You know what I mean? It's like, and just my uncles just hated them.
It always starts nice. You always try for about 5 minutes, and then 5 minutes in,
someone says the Beatles are better than Oasis.
Exactly.
Or
Let's talk about
they are, in fairness.
Let's go back to
get in the comments. Who's better?
Let's go back.
Roses or the Beatles? Get in the comments.
Let's go back to some memories.
It's the Beatles every day.
Who's better, the Coral or the Stone Roses? Ridiculous.
I like it. Let's go back to a few of the memories. So some of the more recent ones. Martial debut, of course, last year as well at Old Trafford.
The commentary wankfest. Yeah, Christian Benteke scored an overhead kick in that game, by the way.
Yeah, it doesn't matter.
Best goal of the season, and Martial.
Does anyone really care, Paul?
It's fine. Christian Benteke cares.
Mata's bicycle kick, Berbatov hat-trick as well. Cantona scoring the winner in the FA Cup final.
The 93 game, and I think he was wearing that kit there, that green, the really awful Adidas equipment one, yeah. It was a 3-3 at Old Trafford, I think it was 94.
Is that one where Ruddock headed?
No, it's at Anfield.
Or was that at Anfield?
I am far too young to even discuss that game.
2003 was a good year, League Cup final.
Yeah,
everyone's forgotten that.
That was a Worthington Cup final, I think.
Yeah, Worthington Cup.
99, our comeback started with a win over Usually in the FA Cup.
Collins bottled it and went off. Yeah, the 3-3 at Anfield when Neil Ruddock scored the equaliser, I was there. I was only
2 3-3s that season, 94, I think.
Might well
Evra versus Suarez is someone's favourite moment. That's an interesting debate.
People like a bit of
racial
needle.
Exactly, that's what I mean. I'm just like,
come on.
Come on, lads.
Berbatov again, picking out.
Berbatov scoring hat-trick cemented.
Where's the Liverpool fans?
Well, I'm trying to find them.
Don't understand Norwegian, unfortunately.
Play Fellaini, shouts somebody. I think we'll move on there. We were talking before about it being a bit of a crossroads. And like I said, I do think it is. I think that 2-point gap if we win.
Cantona's 1-0 penalty.
Yeah, well, there's been a few there as well. Coming back after.
Cantona's comeback.
Robbie Fowler. Where do you think both teams are going to finish? Who's going to finish higher?
And Gary Neville.
Liverpool are going to finish higher.
You think?
Yeah.
Yeah, I do.
Why?
Because we're a better side.
Yeah, in what departments?
Apart from goalkeeper.
The midfield.
Howson, give me some balance, mate. Come on.
All right, well, he's wrong.
Good.
For starters. So goalkeeper's ridiculous. I mean, the goalkeeper situation at Liverpool.
Hey, look, no, we're not talking about goalkeepers.
We are.
It's De Gea. It's De Gea.
No, but we
it's
are.
De Gea.
Because
the comedy up and say
just quickly, Karius or Mignolet?
Mignolet right now.
Okay.
Mignolet's fine.
It's the funniest thing to come out of Liverpool since bread, mate. The goalkeeping situation that's going on with these guys. None of them remember that.
How many people get the bread reference?
Probably not even on YouTube.
Just for a second there, if you saw Tumbleweed scrolling across your screen.
I think defence-wise, I think they're probably on a par at the moment. We've not really both got a real like world-class defence. I think our best defender is off to the African Cup of Nations. I think your best player is off to the one of your best players off to the African Cup of Nations. I think him not being here is a big plus for us. I think that midfield three of Carrick, Herrera and Pogba, there's no question that's better than your midfield, I don't think.
I would question it, to be honest. I think there's elements of that midfield that I really like from the Manchester United one, but we have controlled a lot of games. You know, we have had more possession than you guys on average in the league. Manchester City are averaging 57%, I think it is, or 58%. We're
I know one can pass it around your goalkeeper and two.
Of course, and you saw that last season with Van Gaal, like, it doesn't always garner results.
We won 18 league titles doing that.
But hang on, we're the top scorer inside in the league. We've created most chances in the league. We've had more shots from inside the area, more goals from outside of the area. You know what I mean?
Close.
This is what it's all about.
I think
when you have to control games to be able to do all these stats.
I do think on balance, though, I think you would say they take the goalkeeper out of it for a second. The 10 players in front, they match up in terms of where they're strongest. I think going forward at the moment, that's where United are really strong. I think defensively are probably the weakest part of both sides.
Yeah, that's
I just think you just got to judge on what you've seen so far, and I think Man United have got this spell now where if they can continue to pick up points, then that'll be interesting. Obviously, if you manage to get a win over us, then that puts you in a good position. But you know, the Europa League will come back in February, and it's how you handle that.
And
that's the thing that we've got going for us. There's a reason Liverpool are that much higher than Man United in the table right now, and that's because we've handled the season. Do
you think that? I mean, David Jones, Liverpool depth is shocking. Saw that last night without Mane and Coutinho. They're not in a great place.
Lawrenson to Hansen to Grobbelaars to Baconland.
Is Mane
commenter of the day so far?
Mane is a big miss, but I think this is like, there's some common things that get passed around in football, the football sphere. It's like accepted knowledge of things, which is it's bollocks, bullshit, basic analysis. And I mean, Chris said it before. You know, you take
Paul Merson's in a job.
You take exactly. You take the four of the best players out of any team in that league, and they will struggle to be the same team that they are, and that's what Liverpool faces. It's not necessarily. We are probably one attacking player really short of having sufficient.
Why can't that be
depth.
Sturridge? Because for me, he's the most natural striker.
He is. You're right. He just doesn't fit in with the way that Klopp wants to play football.
It's just pure simple as that.
I think so. Yeah.
So
I think
would. So if you look around world football right now and you said that's the answer,
Alexis Sanchez would be perfect.
I would absolutely love him.
Yeah.
Or
Luis Suarez.
Aubameyang.
Dimitri Payet, do you reckon he could slot into Liverpool at the moment?
I'd love to buy him just for a laugh, just for the free kicks. But has he got the? He hasn't got the work rate for us.
He's insane.
I think his work rate isn't enough.
Awful.
I don't think he suits a Klopp team. He doesn't suit a Mourinho team. So I don't think that's.
It's that there are probably less talented footballers who would fit better in Liverpool's team than Daniel Sturridge.
And that's a valid point actually, because I guarantee, if Jesse Lingard starts on Sunday, there will be an outrage of United fans. But do you know what? From a tactical point of view and what he offers in terms of work rate, especially with Coutinho down that side, I think Jesse Lingard is not the worst shout in the world for a work rate sort of an option. And if you want to bring someone on later on, like a Rashford, to try and take advantage of a tired defence, which we've seen him do, I think that from a tactical point of view would be great. And I think that's where you're at, is sometimes someone like a Sturridge, who on paper you're like, why isn't this working? Because he is a class footballer when he's not injured. Unfortunately, injured quite a lot. But why is it not working with him? But it might work with a dirt kite side kind of player.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I think there is that work ethic versus talent sometimes. I think the good thing for United at the moment is that there's a midfield trio.
That's why Rashford's in the team and Jesse,
exactly,
and Januzaj's out on loan.
But that's why I think that midfield three for United is nailed on. I think Pogba, Herrera, Carrick.
If that doesn't start, someone's ill or injured. Yeah.
Exactly, they're going to, or it's a cup game.
I really want Fellaini to play.
Them three are going to.
I bet you do.
Yeah.
In a game that's going to be football played on the floor, I bet you want Fellaini.
He's the type of guy that's going to come on for the last 10 minutes, isn't he? If
it's
a really tight game, that's what it's.
Do you see the way he hugged him? I've never even hugged my wife the way he hugged like that.
I don't know whether that says that
was
more.
Pure love. That
does that say as much about Fellaini and Mourinho, or does that say a lot about you and your wife? I don't know.
I've got no heart,
let us know who you think's going to finish high, guys. Liverpool United. Obviously, a lot hinges on the game on Sunday. We talked about Mane. Coutinho is obviously a huge player for Liverpool. Ibrahimovic for United as well.
6'5", yeah.
He's massive. Coutinho. How tall's Coutinho? Do we know?
Don't know.
Not got
Doesn't
a song
matter.
about how tall he is?
It's this big. He's gorgeous.
He's just like the little figures on the front.
This little thing. Yeah, it's amazing.
They're completely different players. I appreciate that, but who would you rather have in your side? I suppose it's a little bit biased, but and what do you think of Ibrahimovic? Let's go another way.
Ibrahimovic would be genuinely shite if he played for Liverpool.
Yeah.
Look, I must admit,
play?
I've been critical of Ibrahimovic his entire career, and one of those ones I never really got it because he never looked like he just. I don't know. I used to call him Ibrahima Crouch. You know, because he's just like a big man who had a good touch.
A famous Scouse wit.
But he, you know, I haven't seen him at the game at Anfield earlier, and I must admit I was impressed with just how good a football.
I think his physical side's really impressed me.
He's
so up
just,
for that.
Just big fellas who haven't got bags of pace.
And ponytails.
And I know he's better than Andy Carroll, and he's better than Benteke, and he's better than Crouch. But
what surprised me about
the mold of
Ibrahimovic
football doesn't work.
Is his sharpness. I think the thing that everyone was throwing at him, as they always do with strikers that come into the Premier League, is he strong enough? Well, I mean, I think we can answer that quite quickly. Yeah. Is he going to score as many goals as he has in France? Well, I mean, maybe not as many, but I mean, he scored a hell of a lot of goals. I think up to 16, 17 goals.
I thought it was about 13 in the league.
I'm sure it's 17 overall.
Yeah, it might be 13 in the league.
He got 50,
he's up there.
He didn't get the.
Yeah, he was one short
of
leveling it with.
He scored 33 in France, so it's 17.
So he's scoring goals. I think he could be more clinical, but they are completely different players. Would you take Coutinho at Manchester United? Forget that he's played for Liverpool as a player.
Yeah, I think he probably would, because it's a player. Even if I just look at the starting 11 of what we've got and where he would slot in, he is the sort of player I could see slotting on that left-hand side. No danger. Yeah, he's an excellent footballer. You'd be crazy to say he's not that good. There is players.
Shaking up Mkhitaryan or Coutinho.
Ooh.
It's a deathly silence.
Yeah, I think that's tight. I'm obviously going to go with Mkhitaryan, but I think it's 55-45. I think it's really.
I mean, I think they're very.
Give Mkhitaryan a full season in the Premier League and see if he can hack it. Coutinho's done it for you, and it gets better and better.
I think we know that Klopp would like Mkhitaryan inside. He had him at Dortmund, obviously.
It didn't really work at Dortmund though in his system. To be honest with you, it wasn't until Thomas, what's his name, came in.
If you could just cut through my argument there and make it sound like I know nothing, Chris,
done. Move on.
Absolutely wonderful.
I have to get the name in somewhere. You know what I mean?
18 goals he's on. Sorry. Thank you, commenters.
18. How many in the league do we know? Someone said.
Someone will tell us. What is it in the league?
And someone's also told. Owen's told us that Coutinho's 5'7", just in case you were, as interested as I was. So there you go.
The thing is, when you look at the two of them right now, I think Paul's right. I don't think Zlatan would fit into us. I don't think Liverpool would ever go for a Zlatan at 35 years old. I don't think that's the way that our club's going. We are buying young to try and potentially sell them on when they've had a few good years at Liverpool.
Do you think that's what the strategy is going to be?
I think it is. Yeah, I think it will be. And
Someone just thrown a comment right at you. Hug your wife like that, then. So there you go. That's that sorted.
She don't score winners.
Well, someone said that Coutinho is the only player. Moyes said that Coutinho is the only player that would make the United side. Now, I actually don't completely agree with that, but I think he is a player that would make the United side. I think he's more than good enough, and I think he's probably up there with the top.
I want to go back to that point. So you said you're thinking you're going to be buying players and selling them.
I think.
Are you happy with that though?
No,
don't you want to be the destination?
You said stepping stone. I don't see it like that. I see it as what Manchester United have done in fairness for years. You've got the best years out of them, and you've sold them on, or you've got them in at the right time.
Yeah, that's different.
Do you know what I mean? So that there is an element to it. I do believe that Liverpool will develop talent and will sell them at a very high price. But
it's only Ronaldo that's stepping stone, doesn't
it? But what will happen is that Liverpool will get better at buying younger players in, and the next guy will be there, and we won't feel the difference anymore. Whereas what's happened in the past is that when we've sold like a Suarez or a Torres, we've not replaced them. I think we'll already have the replacements at the club, and I'm happy with that because that's a financial model and that can succeed in world football.
He was finished. And Piqué never really got into the first team regular, and we chose Johnny Evans over him, which is what happened.
Here's the thing about it at Liverpool is that we've seen how you got the financial superpowers of the Premier League, and we're not one of them. So there has to be a model in place, and provided you are bringing up, you've got a system in place where you're recycling players, and you've got talent always coming through. What Liverpool have done in the last few years is we've sold players before them hitting their absolute peak, Sterling and Suarez being the best examples of that, and we've not had ready-made replacements to come in for them, or the replacements weren't good enough. Whereas what Klopp did at Dortmund was that team didn't skip a beat when they sold Kagawa on, or they sold Nuri Sahin or whatever.
It was impressive.
Exactly, and even like Lewandowski, you thought you could survive without Lewandowski.
Getting stripped every single year. It must be frustrating.
So where did he pick Kagawa up from? second division Japanese football. You know what I mean? These aren't signings. This is what Liverpool will do. And this is why I don't think we'd go for Zlatan. It's because that's not what he wants.
Wouldn't you hate to see the Lewandowskis and all that stripped out of your team like that, though?
But if you've got trust in your manager and he
let's just bring it back to this game.
With Aubameyang up front instead.
Let's bring it back to this game. I mean, Sam said that the big difference is Coutinho turns up in the big games. Ibrahimovic hasn't yet. Given the size,
someone commented that Liverpool hadn't turned up for the last 26 years, which I thought,
wow, that's heavy. I like it. That's good.
More comments.
Do you think Coutinho is a man for the big games? You obviously like him. Is he the guy that you think can turn?
Even when he's not, because the last few seasons he's been massively inconsistent, and we've seen like flashes of his brilliance. And we've got a little player here, but every few months we'd be like, is he there? Is he ever going to kick on? Would you take a bid for him? Yada yada yada. And then that next game we play Chelsea, and he turns up and he scores a wonder goal, and you're like, right. So he's always done it in the big games for Liverpool. He's just never been a flat track bully. So he's never done what Ronaldo used to do for yous, where he'd turn up at Burnley on a Wednesday night and stick one in from 45 yards and win the game single-handedly. He started to do that this season, and that's why Phil Coutinho's made a step up from being a luxury player to being our best player.
Never turns up in big games argument. I actually think that's bollocks argument for a lot of players, and not singling out any player individually, because I think what happens is the opposition manager in a big game knows who the threats are, and they likely double mark the threat. And what you'll often find is you might double mark Ronaldo, and someone doesn't pick up Rooney, and that's how you end up winning. And I think that probably happened a little bit with Coutinho at times, if that was the accusation.
Talking of tactics, Ramiz said, does anyone agree with me that Jose will slap Liverpool on Sunday with a masterclass? Do you think we're going to see that overly tactical Jose Mourinho on Sunday, the guy that...
I hope not. I hope not, but I wouldn't rule it out. Let us know in the comments what you guys think. Yep. If you've got any questions for all of us as well, let us know and I'll read some of those out.
Well, I've got one question. Have you ever seen Gerrard win the league?
I can say no, and not in the UK or either in America, which was hilarious. He went to the biggest club in America
anyway, to be honest.
And he still couldn't win the league.
No.
Yeah. Well, he's still coming in the league.
See him lift the European Cup though.
Who's the main man then? I mean, we've spoken about a few. Aside from the players that we've mentioned, obviously Mane's not going to be in there. Who is the main man for Liverpool? Who or one of the main men? I think Lallana's been outstanding this season.
He's been
pains me to say that, but
he's one. And we've talked about this, like the idea of recycling players and what have you. And I've said this a few times recently. The Phil Coutinho. We'll get to the end of the season. Phil Coutinho's the one who Barcelona, etc., will look at. Whether they'll bid for him, I don't know. But he's the player that everyone will be going, he'll be the next big money player to leave Liverpool. And provided we keep Lallana and find the next Adam Lallana in our transfer policy, I think you can replace Coutinho in a weird way. You can go out and get players who sparkle. But what Lallana does and the way he sets everything we do in an attacking sense, his work rate, his touch, his vision, his creativity, and he started to add goals and assists as well, which is something that he lacked further up the pitch. For me, he's central to everything good that we do in an attacking sense.
Let's see what we've got in the comments. Coutinho goes missing for spells. Klopp chokes in the big game. I'm not sure that's completely true. Herrera or Henderson? I know it's comparisons again, but let's forget the comparison. How good is Ander Herrera? How important is he in a game like
very
this?
Underrated. We saw spells of what he could do under Louis, but he was never given a consistent run of games. And when he came on in the derby, he played as a number 6 in that Carrick role, which obviously Carrick's come back into expertly. But we saw his bite, we saw his ability to hold a position. He likes to go forward, and I think he drives the team forward. He's always looking for a 1-2. He's always getting
like
to the end of it.
He's like Joe Allen, isn't he, basically, is what he's saying.
Wow.
Good. Shaved as well.
I think Ander Herrera fits. I think this midfield 3 that we've stumbled upon, or found our way to play. What Michael Carrick does is so massively underrated, and he's so high level with what he does. Ander Herrera provides the energy and the bite, because Michael Carrick's never had that in his game. And Paul Pogba provides you with a little bit of the outrageous, a little bit of the drive. And you can see Pogba just constantly trying. I mean, you can see why he scores wonder goals, because he tries 15 shots that spoon off into
there was an effort. There was an effort against Hull that was just
nearly went for a throw-in. Yeah, nearly went for a throw-in. But I think that midfield 3 blends.
I was talking about the one that was saved. But he also
there's
a few
and he's hit the woodwork 7 times. I think that midfield 3 have got
Does
a really
that not mean
nice
he's really bad at
complement.
shooting?
No, I think
why
he
does he
just
keep missing
takes
the target?
wild chances, I think. I think he takes wild
I think
chances.
he's so
and I don't
close
think
to the
he's...
wire.
To be fair, they've grown up with Wayne Rooney trying that random chip shot from outside the box that it's the roof of the
I
net.
think what you get with him is I don't think he's got that finesse finish like you see with Marshall. I think he just fucking launches it, and sometimes they fly in and you go, oh my God, and sometimes they knock the steward out on tier 2, which is what he's done a lot this year.
Paul, prediction for the game. What are you saying?
I think Liverpool are going to win because what's the point of being a Liverpool fan if you don't think you're going to win games of football? Honestly, let's all go home. Let's all go home and watch.
How often do you predict a loss on Redmen?
Never. Why would you do that?
We haven't had 6
Don't
years.
don't
I think
crack
we've
head,
predicted about 3 draws. in
Yeah,
6
that's
years.
how it always feels on here as well. Let's
Real
throw in a
Madrid
draw.
away was one of them.
I predict a few draws, but I don't think I've ever predicted a loss.
If I can push you for a scoreline.
So I'm going to go for a different score that I went on our show just to mix it up.
Just to try and get one of them.
Just a
Mate.
spread bet. That's what we're doing.
I'm going to go for 3-0 to Liverpool.
What? I love it. 2 penalties. Suarez
Can
goal
someone
late.
find that out for me, please? Thank you.
Does Vine even exist anymore?
Yes,
Just about.
Shit.
So what did you say then, Chris? What was the
I'm
scoreline?
going for 1-0 to Liverpool. I think it'll be really cagey. I think Mourinho will go tactical against us again. I don't think Liverpool are quite firing on all cylinders after the last few games. We're going to have to be working our way into finding a way where we can break teams down, especially teams that like to park the bus. Jose
Being
Mourinho.
so fucking sensible with you. That was clearly the right answer you've given there. Listen, I suppose there is enough for you on Vine, isn't there, to be fair?
Alison, give me the wrong answer. What's the scoreline?
Give you the wrong answer. I'm torn because the team I want to see play, I think would make it a really open game and we would outscore them. But the team that Jose Mourinho is probably going to play won't be that and won't make it open, won't make it cagey, or will make it cagey. And I can see anything from 1-0 United to a goal fest and like 3-2 United. But I think United take this. I think the form doesn't go out of the window. That's a myth. Like City fans all come from Manchester. That's another myth. But I think coming into this United out of form team, we're looking hungry going into it. Liverpool are finding their feet again
But
a
we've
little
done
bit.
so well against the top 6 sides, haven't we? When you look at that mini league table, we've taken 11 points from 15, haven't we, or something like that? And, you know, we're kind of top of that mini table. So it's mad because we always, as Liverpool fans, say, and this is probably not the best thing to say as a Liverpool fan, to be honest, we always say, oh, teams always pick the game up against us. Well, to be honest with you, this season Liverpool are picking their side up against big
I think the
clubs.
same goes for both sides, and I think this is the thing about this game. You know, we've already spoken about it. We've spoken about the way that the two managers are, the way that the two clubs are in general, and Manchester and Liverpool. I think there's so much resting on this game. I think actually, as a United fan, if I don't see a United player putting in, 110%, then I'm going to give them more stick potentially than the Liverpool fans and the Liverpool players.
If Mourinho does a Mourinho performance and plays ultra defensive, looks to it on the counter, and it's a 0-0 draw, I think a lot of the fans, your fans who were critical of that type of performance at Anfield, I think there'll be more uproar over it because I keep coming back to it, and you can't ignore it as much as you want. The amount of money that's been spent and the amount of talent that Man United have got to not utilise that is I can only imagine how frustrating it is.
But the money shouldn't mean anything because you'd spent second only prior to.
Oh yeah. But the simple fact of the matter is that Man United shop in a different supermarket to us. You know what I mean? That's Zlatan Ibrahimovic, Paul Pogba, and Henrik Mkhitaryan.
None of those
players.
Though.
True, but none of those players.
Cost a lot of money though, regardless.
Exactly. None of those players would have signed for Liverpool because Man United they just shop in a different pool, and these are guys who are proven. You're buying proven world-class talent. We have to buy that notch below who are ready to make that step up and take more of a gamble.
I think you could argue that with 3 of our 4 transfers this year, but Bay wasn't, Marshall wasn't, Ander Herrera wasn't.
True.
Lot of our
I'm not saying
recent
you've
transfers
exclusively done it, but the money that you have spent the 3 big signings of this summer were plug in and play world-class talents.
Undoubtedly, yeah.
I'll be honest, I do not care about the money whatsoever. So
We spent
oh,
over
shit,
$1 million
I don't
on-
care.
No,
Yeah,
exactly, but no,
we
I
spent over
know
$1
what
billion
you're
on
saying, I know what you're
Glazer
saying.
debts
But
since
I just like the fact that
2005.
actually I can see that midfield 3 being as it is. I can actually see a fair amount of pace. I think we did have that against Spurs. We were just very clever about the way that we played. And there's a lot of 2-1 score lines in the comments, and I say exactly how I can see it being. I can see it being a 2-1
Mike United 4 says
scoreline.
6-0.
What? All right.
Liverpool.
Yeah, I saw I've seen a United 3-1 as well. I've seen a couple of
Liverpool unbeaten in
Liverpools the other
6
way.
games. Lost last night, you weapon.
Could we also vine that, please? Is that possible? So I'm
Am I wrong?
going to go 2-1.
Am I wrong?
This is back to. I've seen this argument. This is when they talk to Arsenal fans about the invincible season, isn't it? When cup games come
Yeah,
out and all
well,
of a sudden, like.
Can't say it's an invincible season when it was one
It was a
competition.
Premier League season.
We didn't lose in
It
the
was a Premier
Champions
League
League.
season. Come on.
We didn't lose in the Champions League in '99.
These have got a real thing about Arsenal, haven't they?
I don't
Yeah,
understand.
Talk a lot about Arsenal
It's
today.
madness, isn't it?
Just
Have you ever been
danger.
online ever?
Listen, guys, make sure you get your comments in below. Score lines, predictions, starting 11s. Make sure you follow these guys as well. Pains me to say it, but the Redmen TV,
The best fan channel on YouTube. Yeah, you know it. I know it. Yeah, we're all there.
The first,
Listen,
the original, the
this
ones
is,
that launched it all.
as it always is, Liverpool.
Listen, if
against
you're gonna
Manchester
follow
United,
them, just
huge
follow them until Sunday to go and
Yeah.
laugh at them. That's all you need to follow them.
Absolutely. And if we... No, we've
We've got loads of people who watch both
There's
and
no
we know
ifs
it,
and
like-
buts. We are definitely going to win this game on Sunday for me. 2-1. Let us know what you think, guys.
You know.
Fine, that.